We're here. Hello, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about, Beryl as a tropical storm. She did make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane. Yes, she did make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane, but now she's a tropical storm and she's kind of decreasing slowly. If we take maybe a bit of a break off the radar and we actually look at tropical weather, and if we look over here, she was a Category 1 hurricane somewhere over here, and she made landfall not too long ago, like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. She made landfall. She stayed a tropical storm. She stayed a hurricane. She stayed a hurricane all the way to here. She stayed a hurricane all the way to a bit west of Houston. She stayed a Category 1 hurricane. She's been a tropical storm for a while now, and we continue to see her being a low-end tropical storm. Her pressure has increased significantly and rapidly, though. Not rapidly. This is not really a significant pressure increase. We actually do expect her to be a tropical storm, potentially all the way to 3 point between the 3 point border between Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. So we do expect her to be a tropical storm all the way over here, and then a little bit over here. We do expect her to be a tropical depression, a high-end tropical depression. And over on yonder, we expect her to be a tropical depression, and once again, she will decrease a little bit. She'll become a mid-tropical depression for northern Arkansas. She will be a higher-end tropical depression for Arkansas, though. And we kind of see her stall at that number. We kind of see her not really de-intensify. We kind of see her being a middle-end tropical depression for a very long time. So she will keep that status. So here in Indianapolis, she'll keep that status as she goes into Ohio, and she'll keep that status as she goes into Canada. Finally, she'll start to weaken again over here in a bit more of the a bit more inland Canada. So it looks like right now she will continue to decrease, but starting here, we expect a middle end, not a high end, but also not a low end tropical depression. We expect her to keep those numbers and not even de-intensify all the way till near Toronto, Canada, and a bit more into Canada. We can expect maybe her to decrease, to at least start up again, and at least decreasing. Even if she does decrease, we still expect her over here near almost to Ottawa, Canada, for her to be still a tropical system. And you're probably thinking, oh, then this system must have been over here to Ottawa if it's gonna stay tropical status. No, she's gonna stay at least a tropical system. Tropical systems are from hurricanes all the way to depressions. So a tropical depression is a system. So we expect her to be a system throughout, really, from now up until Ottawa, Canada. We expect the Natural Hurricane Center expects her to be a tropical system. So we're still looking at tropical impacts. Once again, I do want to look before we go into radar coverage, which we are seeing a lot of tornadoes right now. But before we go into that coverage, I do want to look at the convective allowing model, which is the HRR, the HER model. Do you want to look at the 18Z? Because I want to look in the future. This is a tropical system, but so in the HRR model has not been good with tropical systems, and it's just not good at forecast. I mean, sometimes you can get, sometimes the HRR model can get a good run, But once again, the ARRR model is not calibrated. Why I'm doing this is because later on, I do expect her to maybe be a bit more calibrated in convection, even though she's predicted to be a tropical system all the way to autumn Canada. But the thing, also the other thing is she has been good. That means the ARRR model has been good in predicting Beryls. That can change, but so we're to kind of trust it a little bit as she goes along. Over here, as she gets near, once again, this point on, we still expect that heavy rain threat, and once again, no matter, really, it kind of matters. She will turn into a blobby mess, and look at all this rain. Look at all this rain she's going to be pouring. But once again, wherever the eye is on the, when she's going to take a bit of a turn, so around, here, and so forth. She's probably going to be kind of this quadrant. I can draw it in blue for you. So let's say around here. Kind of on the, this quadrant of the storm, since she's turning, so really the northeastern part of a hurricane is where the tornado risk, but since he's going to be turning, we kind of expect that also, the tornado risk part to turn. But so really, wherever she goes, anywhere east, northeast of the track line, we could potentially once again see that threat for some tropical tornadoes. So we could see potentially tropical tornadoes all the way from now to maybe even Ottawa, Canada, as she will still be a tropical system. So Beryl is not dying fast, that's for sure. But we're not. We still have a bit to go on this run, so I will continue to run this out a little bit. This heavy rain and potentially as this goes into Ohio, really, this heavy rain potential is going to be on the bit of the northern side of the eye, the northwestern side of the eye, and then over here we can see this kind of flood in and these storms to collapse on the eastern side of the eye. But once again, I do still see by Ohio, where it's in Ohio, I do still see that a little bit of a threat for that severe weather and tropical tornadoes. So it's not ending in Ohio. I do think that it'll probably end. This is this is going to probably end somewhere when it's near Detroit. When it's near Detroit, this will more than likely end. These are probably just going to be general thunderstorms going on. It depends. These kind of discrete ones that kind of deviate from Beryl, these may pose a tornado threat or two. We don't really know. This is still up in the air. As once again, the bigger this cone gets, the more uncertain Beryl will be. And if you really run this model all the way out, that's it. It looks like once again, looking back once again where the eye is. bit of a cellular mess once again for Ohio. Most of this is gonna say wind. I do feel like the more she progresses onto land, the more this turns into a wind threat. But I do think throughout her entire existence, there will be at least some. There will at least be some sort of a tornado risk. Really on the lower end. Today we have a bit of a higher end, not really a higher end, but a middle ground risk for tornadoes, and we are seeing this evidence of that. But I do think that will decrease as this goes on land, continues to go on land, into a bit more of a windy threat. But it will always keep that tornado threat with it. So if you live anywhere in the cone of uncertainty, what you can expect is mostly rain and winds. And maybe once again that risk for some damaging, a bit more some damaging winds with those cellular modes, and then maybe a tropical tornado threat. But that's really it. That's really it of the future. I mean, if we look at tropical models right now that show Beryl, if we run it a little bit. Now, once again, the HWRF. This one is calibrated for this model is calibrated for tropical systems. So this one, once again, it's for predicting this. And once it actually shows as Beryl moves forward, maybe another outer band start to form. If that does happen, of course, we'll more than likely see. Looking a bit more into the future, probably, yeah. If this actually does, when it is over here, this kind of actually does show once again a one or two more outer bands to form. If that does happen, we could see once again an elevated tornado risk for somewhere over here in this line. I mean this circle. Sorry, I don't think it'll go that far. Since it's on land, the development of especially two outer bands aren't really that great. But if it does happen, we'll more than likely see this kind of continue on as maybe another elevated tornado risk. Because from here, like here on out, I do not expect there to be these 5% risks, especially not 10% risks. I would expect if these two lines do kind of form, I would expect maybe there will be another day or two where we will have a 5% tornado risk. That's a bit. Once again, if these lines do progress, I would expect maybe there to be another day of a 5% tornado risk extending from northeastern Missouri into maybe a little bit of Ohio, like southwestern Ohio, and all the way through southern Indiana and southern essential Indiana, and definitely southern Illinois. That's when I would expect potentially another one of these 10% risks. A chance of a 10% will be low for this, but if anything, it'd start where the bands form and maybe a little bit out. That's where potentially another 10% would go if that really does happen, that scenario does happen. But once again, it's easy for these systems to form outer bands when they are in water of increasing it. But once again, we will see decreasing, but it will start to stall out a bit. So the National Hurricane Center, from this point on and forward, we're not predicting it to de-intensify at all. And we're also not predicting to intensify. We're predicting it to like stall out in intensity wise to stall out, which would not be good. But once again, I don't think that I do think there's a good possible chance that it might stall out maybe a bit more longer than usual. But I do think around the stall is supposed to start like over here. I do think around maybe the update time, uh, maybe just a bit after the update time for that stallment to really stop. And for it to continue to decrease, it'd probably be maybe a low end tropical depression, and then so on, remnants, a post tropical cyclone. But the more northeastern, if you've been watching meteorologists ever since it went entered the Gulf, you're probably going to hear, oh, the more eastern this turns, the more it turns into the Gulf. We're still talking about this turning east, so the more eastern this turns, really if it turns along the cone of uncertainty, a few things can happen. The more it will slow down. That would give it more time on land, so it would give it technically more time to de-intensify. That would be a good. That's kind of a good scenario. But if we do see this stallment happening, this a period of stall, once again, it may be a bit of an elongated period for certain areas, so that may cause once again another tornado problem. So it still is very interesting that we are seeing this thing predicted by a tropical model, a more accurate for at least this scenario model, for it to stall a little bit for the stall. So as we go on in this model, it is showing by Indianapolis this kind of line to kind of collapse. It would still be there, but it, unfortunately, kind of collapse a little bit. And also maybe a big flooding threat for Chicago. This model does not show really as much of a tornado risk for Ohio because this actually does take this way out of the cone of uncertainty and it takes it kind of like this, which that can happen. The ARRR, the National Hurricane Center is going off the ARRR since it's been fairly accurate, very accurate with Beryl, which it more than likely will, but I do think it's probably not a good sign that the Hurricane Center is not going off a tropical calibrated model, which they should be, since it is the Hurricane Center. And the ARRR verifies we won't see the stallment happen, and we'll probably see a bit that tornado risk extends somewhere over here. But if this does happen, we will definitely see this tornado risk over here. No, not the tornado risk, but the actual the low pressure system, the eye, to kind of curve over here and slam into the oven mitt of Michigan. Then after that, it's still even just showing a flooding threat. We may, if the HWRF model goes to Michigan, if it does go to Michigan, the model is showing maybe another outer bands start to happen, this is mainly going to be for Canada. If that does happen for Canada, then we'll probably see once again maybe another 5% risk for tornadoes over there. But now, after that, we're going to cover the tornadoes where we really only have two. Right now, we only have two actual tornadoes going on near Bossier City. What's this? How do I do this again? Okay, this tornado warning is more than likely for this couplet over here. It's radar indicated, and this is going. This will be going somewhat like this. So this may enter Stonewall if it stays that tornado warning. If it does produce another tornado warning for Stonewall. This one might be either an extension of this one, or it could be for this, maybe this, little area right over here. This is also radar. There's another tornado warning over here, which is radar indicated. I don't really see any rotation on this one. Don't really see any rotation. Then again, it might be for. This has really. There's not really any rotation. So over here, the Bossier City. I would say weather aware, but also this is not even on the ground yet, which could change and it could start spinning up more, but I would not be really concerned. What I would be concerned about for the future, is there is a more outer band. Look, we have probably outer bands extend all the way over here from over here. So really, since this dry air is kind of feeling this for dry air, and also the dry air, it almost looks like a line because it almost acts like a boundary a little bit. It almost acts like a boundary, which can also help for tornado risk. What I'm really concerned about is this kind of complex of supercells and multicellular supercells, and semi-discrete supercells. As we see, maybe a little bit of even more convection in front of this kind of complex. This linear, a bit more, possibly some cells out in front of the linear complex. So I have been watching. I just did not. Can this please? Not really much to talk about, but if you see this right here, really, if any part of this over here, and really any part of this starts to a bit more intensify and kind of deepen in color, we will see tornado warnings. So I do think that looking at just reflectivity and velocity alone, probably as this line progresses more east, maybe more northeast, it will produce even more tornadoes. So things might be calming down now, but I still think there's a chance for even more tornadoes. There is a PDS tornado currently right now near Texarkana, and wow, we have a hook there. We have a hook. Actually, Connor Croft actually has a view, so we're gonna go to Connor Croft right now, who is in the middle.
Motion up there. Oh yeah, probably could inch forward a little bit. It's kind of sketchy, but
It's Connor Croft, everybody.
Trees right above us, dude. Yeah, it's right. Whoa, it's about to cross, it looks like. Yeah. Holy. Just a... Oh, look right there. Look at the motion. Know. Dude, we're next to the sucker. We're right next to the tornado. We're next to the sucker. It's gonna cross. Got a big tornado on the ground here, guys. Wow, look at the motion right next to us. West of Emerson, Arkansas. Crossing the road. It's like on the road, looks like in front of us. Good thing we stopped. Dude, I'm glad I saw the right edge. Saw the right edge poke out. A tough spot. I just beat it, honestly.
So that's Connor Croft, everybody. An insane hook. And we have an insane velocity signature. This is definitely going to be on the ground. I would not be surprised if this has a correlation coefficient. Yeah, there is some kind of debris signature on this. So, and once again, these are the really things that break off. That they're real discrete parts. We actually have a tornado warning in Texarkana, but we could see even this cell right behind it possibly start to form a little bit of a hook. That can happen as well. Beryl, okay, you know what? No, okay, Beryl, I'm gonna get rid of the track line. We actually have another PDS tornado warning for Texas. We have two PDS tornado warnings right now. One for both in Arkansas, one near Texarkana. One that's actually about to go into Texarkana. And there you have it, folks. There is your velocity signature just to the west, so just to the east of Texarkana right now. This actually would be going, this is going, realistically, this is kind of going right for the center of Texarkana. Also over here, this was a Minden, Louisiana. It will not surprise me if over here near 371, just south of Cotton Valley, if this tightens up, we could get, if this tightens up a little bit, we could potentially get a tornado warning if this tightens up in the future. That's just a bit more of a heads up. Yeah, and also look at this. The one I just talked about, this has a little bit of a hook, so I probably see that one start to do something here. And even this one has a little bit of an appendage too. Now this one is really wrapping up. So both two PDS tornado warnings on the ground. They're both particularly dangerous situation. This one, there's a little bit of a debris. There's not really a debris signature on this. There might be one in there. This one right here definitely has a debris signature. But there's some cells that could potentially start going. Hit the wrong button. Yeah, right? Maybe a bit. There's two areas that could potentially start going a little bit. So you might want to be aware of that one. I'm going to edit this. To Beryls tornado outbreak. Nobody's really watching. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to end it. Nobody's really watching. Nobody looks like they need this information right now because nobody's really watching for this information.